Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, King Sun Kiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe for a Relax Royale review for Season 3, Episode 5 of Reasonable Doubts. The name of this episode is Thread. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the specificities of this here episode. So, it's kicking it on off. It's the first official day of court for Ozzy. So we waking up with Jax and Ozzy getting some literal mirrored images. Y'all know I've been pointing out that mirroring symbolism in the multitude of different ways this whole season, okay? So it ain't stopped. It done came on into the literal sense of it all. There's a scene, right at the very beginning where we're at home with Jax and she closes the mirror cabinet door in her bathroom, and when she closes the door, it's Ozzy's face. And we're back over in his home with him type shit. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. But yeah, getting literal mirrored images going on. So, I also want to point out that the song we're opening with is Hustling by Rick Ross. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. And one of the first lyrics, I think it's on the first verse, is "Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the fucking boss." That hits so different to me as it concerns it playing over this back and forth in between the scenes with Jax and the scenes with Ozzy, and how their body language and the things that they're doing as they're putting their clothes on and getting prepared for their day, and how it is paralleling each other and kind of, I would say, doppelganging each other, if you will. It's very synchronized. They're like synchronized with each other on, down, and up to the mirrored images, and both of them have this underlying thing of benefiting from infantilism. And I haven't pointed that out much about Jax so much until now, but if you notice, Jax very much so has a baby face. I have noticed that from jump, that the actress even the actress specifically that plays Jax has a very like baby doll face. Amongst like the stuff that Jax has been going through and has gone through, is very easy to infantilize her and woo 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 and things of that nature. But in actuality, she often has more power in her dynamics than not, just as Ozzy. It's set up as if everybody is just running Ozzy, but in actuality, Ozzy is the boss. And of course, we'll have to unpack that as we go. And I'm gonna find it very interesting to see how they end up wrapping this up throughout the next episodes, amongst how this case is going to turn out, child. But we got all of the fixings for the young black man trope. So we got a lot of people that are riding for Ozzy. They're outside the court. It's a lot of people riding for him, and it's a lot of people that's demonizing him all at the same time. Now, on the other end, we get officially in the courtroom, honey, and your boy, your guy, what's his name, Sean, Chris, something like that, the light-skinned dude that is on the I was finna say the plaintiffs, that's on the side of trying to get Ozzy locked up. And in his opening statement, he dresses it up like a fairy tale gone to hell, right? Starts at the beginning date and it's like, didn't imagine that the man she thought she'd be spending her life with would be the man that ended her life. He believes that they got into a physical altercation, and when Wendy absconded to the cabin to go clear her head, Ozzy followed behind her, enraged, and dropped her up out of here. Addresses the jurors and lets them know, hey, This man gonna sit up here, he gonna put on all of the ritz and glitz and razzles and dazzles and everything. He may get some tears, and he hoping to leave out of here with some tears from his studio audience, okay? The Oscars appreciates very nice performances, but y'all are not the Academy, honey. So let's make sure that we're staying focused and locked in on the facts. Okay? So now, Jax got to stand up and do her thing. Counteract what he done put down. To which she quotes Ozzy quoting a Denzel Washington quote that says, acting is what I do, not who I am. So, in that statement, she shows intent to humanize him. Get them to see him through the lens of a regular person who does a job. And therefore, much like other regular people, has companionship, has a girlfriend. She emphasizes he hasn't ever had a criminal record, that there was no like history of violence or anything in their relationship, nor in Ozzy's, reputation or anything of that nature. Also emphasizes reasonable doubt, of course. Things about his GPS showing no activity from his car, leaving his house and going anywhere, and all of that. So typical, right? Typical, I feel like. I don't have to go into the detailings of things on that. But she cracks a funny and says, it's no crime in being a bad boyfriend. If it was, then many of you would be locked up. So this is all real cute and dandy, but I feel like Jack stood up and proved the point of Green-Eyed Bandit. I cannot think of his name, child. Beige Rage, Green-Eyed Bandit. The other lawyer that is on the opposite end of the case. So y'all know who I'm talking about if I say Green-Eyed Bandit or Beige Rage. So I feel like Jax got up and did what Green-Eyed Bandit said that Ozzy would do. Once again, mirroring and synchronizing their alike qualities. Because the flaws I peep in this is her opening statement is very, entertaining and therefore persuasive, charismatic, convincing even. However, she is speaking a little too personable. She's speaking from a place as if she knows him personally, which is good if that is very much so calculated and you know how to turn it on and turn it off. But a pattern has already shown that Jax ain't got it like that. And that she very much so is emotionally involved with Ozzy in an excessive manner. And being clear, it's great to have your emotions involved, but if they are involved excessively, then it can overwhelm the sense of discernment, which can leave you open to some curveballs. Okay? But I'm going to stick a pin in that for now. And that wraps up on that scene, and we pick up back at, I believe this is Jax's house, and she's talking about, them needing to officially lock in his alibi. And so in this, okay, she re-emphasizes that the GPS shows, the GPS activity and inactivity indicates that he didn't go nowhere that night, but he still don't have an alibi. He can't, he don't have nobody else to vouch for him and things of that nature. So this takes me back to what I was saying about Jax being excessively involved emotionally to the point where she gave away a lot of her major points in her opening statement. And I don't think that was wise, because you're already letting your opponent know like some of the cards that's in your hand, for one. And you're saying this with a lot of finality, with a lot of like declarative knowing type of energy. And it's the first day of trial, and you're over here now talking to Ozzy about y'all ain't even locked in his alibi. Like, you just gave away several positions and haven't even locked in one position, his position. Okay, Tisk. So in the midst of them, trying to get their ducks in a row on that subject, sending Daniel off on other missions, Kristen got some extra read all about it going on, because I didn't indicate that as they were entering the courthouse, she was getting calls from Mr. Fuck No, or whoever the fuck. And I done already told you I don't trust nothing she got going on. Nathaniel. Okay? But as they exit, we get to segue into the conversation about Ozzy and Monica. Okay? So, Jax is basically having to get him to admit that it's Monica without giving away her position. So, like I said, she said, we got to talk to you. We got to talk about you and Monica. And he like, okay, what's up? So she say, the sexual abuse you experienced as a minor. And he jumped like, I ain't even say it was her. What are you talking about? What? How you even know that? Like, what? And she like, I didn't know that, but I guess you just confirmed it. Tisk. Unfortunate. But fortunate, because, honey, the cat had to get lit out the bag. Damn shame. Nasty little McNasty. And so Jax is like, bro, how can you even stomach to be around her? And so it's like very clear he fucked up. He fucked up in the head. I really feel like he fucked up in the soul. Like, the way his folks done been with him, he's corrupted. And Jax is basically like kind of trying to indicate to him, how this may fuel his addiction, as well as, like, I'm picking up like the parallels between him having like an addiction to Monica. Tisk. So like, he gets ping ponged between the cycle of his abuse and the cycle of him abusing drugs. Tisk. And so in this conversation, Jax is like, is Monica your alibi? Basically trying to get to the point of that. And he like, no, I told you I was alone. Why do you keep asking me this? Because, honey, somebody needs to, like, be able to vouch for that. You need something to go by that. And it seems like you hiding something. Seems like you're hiding. Child, nothing's a coincidence. Oh my gosh. But yeah, child, she picking and trying to see if she can get anything other than he was at home alone. Aye. And so I keep noticing this thing too, that he gets all worked up, starts to kind of like shake and raise his voice a bit, and people get up off of him. I done seen patterns like that in real life, and it don't work. It be creating monsters. But so he tells Jax not to tell his parents that it's Monica, and he don't need them worrying about nothing else. So Jack's like, cool, you got my word? We here. This is a mess. A big, huge, spanking mess. Now we back over with Kristen and Daniel. And he noticing her getting hella calls on her phone from a fuck no. And so he indicating a little jealousy indication, insecurities and shit. And he like, who is that? Is that, a friend, not a friend? Is that a male, a female, ex-girlfriend, boyfriend? What's going on? And so in the midst of him fiddling and dilly-dallying, she kissed him in the mouth, and then she said, he's just a friend. He's just an annoying friend, and I am single. You got what I need. Child. And that just got Daniel dilly-dallying and fiddle-fallying and glitching and twitching even more, honey. And they is just a kissing and kissing it. Honey, this fixing to be a damn fool. This fixing to be a fucking train wreck waiting to happen. Kristen, you better not touch my butter biscuit. I would hate to have to come through the screen on your ass, Kristen. I'm telling you, I do not trust her. It's giving Delilah spirit. Maybe even Black Widow. But child, they wrap up here. Cause honey, he got to go link back up with Jax, who is just in the next room, honey, and calls him back. To life, back to reality. But she don't know that they back there naked. She don't know. But wait till she find out. Then you're gonna get a whooping. Big whooping. Bad boy. Now, they back in court. And they're going through the different evidence and things that was found. So, we got a black lady and a seemingly Hispanic or Filipino man. And they're both examiners from the case. So, they found Wendy's body near his cabin, the gun, and they found like rope wound burns and stuff on her arms, gunshot wound in her arm, also rope burns and stuff on her ankles, and she seemed like she had a hemorrhage that caused her death due to lack of medical intervention. So there was also some bruising to her face and her body. So Bill is like, couldn't, some of that stuff have come from just regular daily activity? And she like, unlikely, but yeah, okay. And so the man was, emphasizing how the lot of the scratches and stuff that Wendy had on her, as well as certain recent scratches that Ozzy had on him that we seen also, could have come from a struggle that led up to her death. And Jax is asking about, was his DNA found under her fingernails? Could all of this have happened from, his DNA being on her? His DNA was found on her person. And, around the scene of the crime. Child, can't get my goddamn words together. Mercury retrograde. Anyway. But, I found his DNA all around the scene of the crime, just not on the weapon, the gun specifically. Okay? And so Jax is like, could his DNA have been there just, simply because they were in proximity to each other and all this, that, and the third. And they like, yeah, it's possible. All that good stuff. So they're pretty confident in their stances and whatnot. And Bill even incriminate the black lady examiner that was up there, because he had asked her, does she like Ozzy? Does she know of him? Does she like him? Is she a fan? And all that good shit. She was like, she not a fan, but she ain't really, she not against him either. So he pulls up a tweet of something negative that she said about him. I guess she seen him somewhere or something, and it was like he an asshole, or he like the meanest person she's ever seen, or some shit like that. So basically trying to, shed doubt over her credibility to the case, like, indicating she could be somebody that just don't like him and just want to see him go down and all this, that, and the third. So when we get back to the male examiner, and Jax is steady trying to poke holes in the evidence that he's speaking on that, points towards Ozzy being suspect number one, goddamn. He is like, look, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, sound like a duck, got feathers like a duck, the water rolled off his back like a duck, you stop asking the same damn questions. Cause like, what else do you want from me, head ass? Because Jax was also trying to bring up some, records of break-ins happening in the area where his cabin was and such. And she was asking, like, did y'all check to see if there were any connections? Did you do this and that and third and da 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 da? So once they wrap up there, the green-eyed bandit guy, he stands up and is like, so can you please explain why y'all did not go to that degree? And the male examiner says that, for one, there was no forced entry to the cabin, so there was no reason to assume or feel like anyone had broken in anywhere. Also, as it concerns those series of break-ins, none of them had anything to do with violence towards, other people. So basically indicating that it was just people breaking in to take objects, not to harm anyone. There wasn't anyone harmed or, dropped up out of here from those situations. They was just getting what they gonna get front and center, or get 12 years for breaking it in a however many years. Shout out to Eazy-E. Anyway. So he further indicates the statistics of how often it is that when and if a woman or girl is killed, it's likely done by the closest male to her, which would be her husband, boyfriend, and so on. Not to mention, the gun is registered to him. All that shit was around his cabin. His DNA is on her. All this evidence of struggle and backing and forth and the violence upon each other's person. She has more on her. All this shit. Like, again, quack, quack, bitch. And I want to indicate as well, the song that's playing in this scene, going from Daniel and Kristen's part and on through this scene, is Shout It Low, They Know. And it's specifically mainly playing, of course, the hook, but please do know that the parts of the song that they play are very intentional. Like the lyrics parts that they play, very intentional. So most of the part that they emphasize and playing throughout the scene with the song is just the they know, they know, they know, they know, they know, they know. And the Kristen and Daniel scene ends on that. The court scene opens on that, and it ends on that, and specifically ends on Ozzy's face with the lyrics going off, they know, they know. So the energy being given by Jax and Bill, more so Jax, is how it's carrying on through the scene, is very much hubris. There's this energy of hubris. I feel like I done said that probably in every review that I've done, or I've at least thought it if I didn't say it. But there's this energy of hubris, which is an excessive and or a rageful form of arrogance. And Jax and them are giving this energy of like, they know, like, yeah, they know, we got this shit, in the bag, da 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 da. However, There are some other cricks and crannies going on in the midst. If you look at other people's faces in the courtroom, as well as even the difference of energy in Mr. Green Eye Bandit in this scene as well. The first day of court, and in the previous scenes, he felt a bit thrown off by the introduction, how it went, all that good shit. In this scene, he was a bit more feeling himself type shit. So I'm saying all that to say there are definitely some underlying indications of delusions of grandeur going on here. I'm getting that same feeling that I had when I was watching Snowfall, right around the end of season, like probably the middle to the end of season 3, going into season 4, where I was like, oh, this is taking a turn where we're not really supposed to like always root for, like we're not supposed to have a halo effect for the main character. And specifically in a way where it's like Franklin, I started to see how Franklin was being risen for a fall. I'm seeing Jax being risen for a fall, which is very much so tragic theater type shit. I'm picking up a lot of tragic theater elements in this season specifically. It's real loud from what my eyes can see. Now, in the next scene, Jax has a similar experience to what Lewis had with her daddy. And I'm going to need them to stand the fuck up. But until then, I'm going to do it for him real quick. So, Jax confronts her mama about keeping, redundant secrets and whatnot, and meddling in her life, and not, being protective enough, creating a space for her daddy to come in and be able to continuously be abusive in the manners of being disrespectful as hell and disrespecting boundaries. Okay, paying people off, that's financial abuse as well. Okay, just all these different forms of abuse that Jax's mama enables to happen to her, and it bleeding over into the family that Jax has created for herself. And so Jax also addresses to her mama, like, you talking about, oh, you enjoying having him back around and it's been good for you and all of this and that and the third, but did you tell him what happened with your husband, what your husband was doing to me and all this and that and the third? Because you talking about, oh, he want to come in and get to know everything and get to know me and catch up, make up for lost time. Make sure you telling the whole fucking story. Make sure you're telling the whole fucking story. And yeah, I know about him strolling up on my kids and letting all the cats out the bag and this and that and the third as well. So then her mama tries to get big in her pussy and all of this shit, talking about some watch your tone. And you always want to blame me for everything bad that happens to you. But did I tell you to go sleep with Damon? And did I tell you to go out blah, 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 punk ass, pussy ass, bitch ass shit. Shut the fuck up. Because no, you didn't tell her to do none of that shit, but your show facilitated an environment that would very much so instill in her a muscle memory to run right into that type of chaos. You stupid bitch. Because that's the type of shit that you've enabled to happen to her. You have enabled for men to be in her life, including her own damn biological father, to be in and out of her life, doing whatever the fuck, treating her however the fuck, and she sit up and just feel like she got to perform for fucking treats. So, even though the writers allowed for her mama to eat her up in that moment, I am not. The same way Eddie, old punk ass Paul from Being Mary Jane, is still a crackhead, raggedy son of a bitch. He been whacked since Lil Kim first came out, and his motherfucking ass is still whack and cracked out, and so is Jax's mama. You're still a whack ass, badass fucking mother, and yes, you are to blame for 90% of the fucked up shit that has happened in your daughter's life, because that's the fucking stock that you created. That's what you done, and that's what you poured into it. Period. And you can have your own story, you can have your own struggles and traumas and whatnot that can be an explanation for why you allowed that shit to happen and why that's the type of person that you are. But your daughter is not responsible for that. And your daughter don't have to have compassion for that shit either. Her manner of having compassion for that and forgiveness for that is for her own soul. That's her conversation with herself, not for her to sit up and tuck her tail with your bitch ass, because you don't deserve shit for real. Anyway, and all that trying to like weaponize time, ma'am, like, and that's in any situation, like even in real life, God forbid, but anything could fucking happen. And I say this all the time. Parents love to throw that shit up like, oh, yeah, I ain't gonna be here all the time. Yeah, you never know when if some shit could happen to your kid too beyond your fucking control. Just like shit happened to Jax under her fucking watch. Shit that she knew about and fucking enabled. So go straight to hell with that bullshit. Because there is also a thing of people manifesting illnesses upon themselves as a karmic situation, not a punishment, but as their shit catching up with them. Because how you treat your kids is an extension of how you treat yourself. And we'll stick a pin in that. And we always be clear. I'm not saying that every single person that has any type of illness or whatever manifested it because they did something or some form of punishment. That is not at all what I am saying at all. I am saying there is a brand of that being a truth. And step on. Now, the next scene, it's a knock on the door, waiting for a Kristen. She goes on over there. It's some tall, dark, and kind of sort of handsome, kind of sort of not handsome dude. And this here is Alex, aka Fuck No. And we learn why he is labeled Fuck No in her phone, because apparently that's what she says every time she see him. Tisk. It do be like that sometime though, huh? And so, yeah, he been trying to get in touch with her and Ozzy for very specific business. Sounds like an extortion to me. And I'm able to deduce as well that they had to have had something going on. As well as, we also get confirmation that he was an actor on My Cousin and Them, the show that Ozzy is most known from. Because he started talking about, the reporters and paparazzi and all of them has been snooping around his house and all around everywhere else that he's be, and that is blowing up his business, which would be his, street apothecarianism. Street pharmaceuticals. So he like yesterday's price is not today's price. Like I said. Right? And so Kristen is like, look, they swarming all of us. You gonna have to get it together. You done blew through 10K just like that. He like, LA is expensive, especially if he ain't got no rich brother to live off of. She talking about, honey, that's your fault you a failed actor. Well, damn. But she like, dude, we all focus on Ozzy right now, okay? Can you like chill the fuck out? Give us some breather. Gosh. And he like, honey, I ain't got time for all of that. Cause see, I got this video and it'd be a shame if I let it go. She like, honey. I don't know nothing about no video or your video phone. Hustler keep on talking. But he kept on walking. But as he was walking out, alright, she was like, get him a couple days to come up with the money. And he say, excuses are like assholes, Kristen. Everybody's got one. Something about him saying that and it being put exactly right there at the very end of the scene, like it is the last line of the scene, that's not for no reason. But we're gonna stick a pin in it. Now the next scene, Lois and Daniel is about to do a Oh no no. They is linking up together, and Lewis, oh creepy protective self, wants Daniel to help him stalk Jax's daddy. He want trackers like GPS, something he could put on the car, follow him around, listen in, see what's going on. Tisk. Daniel kind of tries to, get him to foreplay his way on into it. But Lewis is like, nah, I'm trying to protect my kids. I'm trying to protect Jax. I don't know what this crackhead ass nigga is on. We ain't finna do all of that. Like, what about, you know what I'm saying? What you know? Daniel want to put him on to a homemade one. Lewis is like, look, whatever you got, let me know. Okay? Let me know. Let me know. And Daniel is steady trying to get him to run around or whatever. And like, what? Just blow up his car. Don't even worry about it. But he pulled out some. It was like he found on Amazon or something the other day. He was like, look, I just ordered one. You can get you one in. See what it's talking about. What you want. So, honey, we're going to see how that go. But to be honest, I'm not mad at Lewis. Could be right, could be wrong. Could be necessary. Could be Maybelline. Okay? But I feel like the way it's going, pimping ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. Now, back in court for Ozzy. And we talking to Miss Anel Keith, who is one of Ozzy's ex-girlfriend. And she lives in the same condo unit with him for about 6 years. Throughout this, the relationship, she said, it started off cool, and then he got insecure, manipulative, and possessive. And they playing the Ring camera footage from one of his neighbors from when he was outside arguing with Wendy, and where he hollering and fussing and cussing, talking about I'm Ozzy motherfucking Edwards, bitch, like he the Incredible Hulk or some goddamn body. Honey. So yeah, they got the neighbor up in there. He was just at home eating ribs with himself, and he mentioned no ribs, but he was just at home minding his business. He got a ping on his Ring camera and had to go see what was going on. Then we started hearing from his ex-girlfriend. It was like she got to a point where it felt like she was walking on eggshells with him the whole time. Then Bill and them want to come out of a bag on her talking about what this is right here. Okay? We got some court documents, police filings from her filing a report about him putting paws on her, and then some other reportings about her being like loud or erratic or something like that. So they're trying to make it seem like she's provocative. Tisk. Because Ozzy also has record of filing a restraining order against her. He filed the restraining order against her. And apparently there was also a point in time where she violated the restraining order by going over there, and he put hands on her. Now they're trying to Jax's side is trying to deflect from that, like basically saying, oh, you went over there being provocative, like, oh, if you hadn't been over there he wouldn't put hands on you. So they're confident in doing this, but would that go through with the I think the jury still hears him being violent with a woman. I don't know, honey. We'll see how it goes, but I feel like that didn't really negate the point that they're showing that he does have a history of violence, and specifically a history of violence with women. Now, later on that night, Jax is out with her friends, but before Chanel and Sally get there, I almost called her Susie. Before Chanel and Sally get there, Jax and her, my gosh, I always forget what her name is, but the psychologist lesbian friend. and they're discussing, certain details about Ozzy. Specifically, as it concerns him not wanting to talk about Monica, and Jax is like he didn't deny it though. So definitely confirmation, big confirmation on multi dimensions that it's Monica who R. Kelly'd him. And so her friend is telling her, all of that is very much so normal and something for him to work through, because it's all a part of the trauma response. Him not wanting to deal with it, and then the way that everything has been turning out, and Wendy's not around, and he's back using. So ain't no telling if her abusive him has restarted, which we already have indication that it has. Also, I didn't mention that what else was shown at the beginning was that Monica was indeed at his house the morning of the first day of trial, helping him get ready as well. Tisk. And her friend also is like, what, basically asking her, like, what indications or anything from your experience with your dad you feel like you could offer the situation, or, insight you're getting from it and whatnot. And she was like, I ain't coming up with nothing, Jack. So she was like, well, maybe you should get your daddy to talk to him, or you talk it over with your daddy and see if he can, give you some extra competency to go by. Which, that's a good idea and everything. I also feel like it's a bunch of like addicts they can go talk to. And honestly, if Jax had more self-awareness, anywho, so as they're having this, interestingly intimate moment, Chanel and Susan come on up and they like, what is all this mushy, what is going on? She like, look, she holding me up because I'm starving because y'all is taking too goddamn long. What is it giving? Now, as they sit down, we learn that Jax's pregnant psychology lesbian friend, she has reached her 5-month mark, and they think it's a girl. Okay, woo woo. All right, and get to talking to Sally even more about like the arrangements going on with her and her estranged husband, and how they've been, going back and forth in with their dynamic, but also trying to shield the kids from, all of the details of Ed Tang. So they're giving her some well wishes and just positively affirming the Tangs. So it's as if she has said, what she said to Jax first, like, it's like she was kind of testing the waters to do the big reveal to the group, testing it with Jax to do the big reveal with the group. I still feel like her response was very telling, and I don't trust Sally. But at the conclusion of their night out, Jax and Sally remain outside, and they finally discuss and address the situation and apologize to each other and all this, that, and the third. And this can very easily be taken like, oh, this is so cute, it's so great when girlfriends can, go too far and then just make up and da da da. Yeah, but honestly, that's not real, not anymore. I should be immune if I'm still alive, and that's what I was thinking. Like, uh-uh, uh-uh, uh-uh. Like, you gotta call a thing a thing. I call a thing a thing. I don't trust Sally. And I'm gonna stick a pin in that. Nah, I believe it's the same night, and Jax goes over to where her daddy is staying at is some hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. It ain't no Holiday Inn. But she pulls up over there. She knocking on the door. Before he gets up, he go to like fiddle faddling with some shit, moving stuff around like he hiding something. I don't know. But he go answer the door and lets her on in. And he's talking about, I would have cleaned up if I knew. I'll shut up. So she mentions, Naima doing whatever she doing and Lewis is working late and all, like, small talk shit. And this nigga gonna try to say, oh, well, at least Lewis is making some money. Nigga, what the fuck is you doing? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, the audacity. Like, go to hell. Anyway, so Jax corrects him and is like, stop the madness. Okay? I'm gonna need you to respect me, respect my husband, and respect my wishes, like not showing up to my house unannounced and not telling my kids shit that I ain't gave you permission to be telling my kids. That I ain't even telling my kids. What the fuck? So he's like, don't be showing up unannounced like you just did. Who's the motherfucking elder? Fish rots at the head, son of a bitch. Accept it, swallow it, shit it out, and do it all over again. Anywho, so they get to the point of him accepting that. Child, I feel like everything he do is some sort of means to an end. And like, especially with him bribing the kids with the 20s and shit. That, like, shit like that stands out to me. Oh, punk ass Paul. Anyway, he was like, oh, so is that like, all you came over here for? She was like, nah, I actually got some further questions. So she wants to get into basically following the call to action that her friend put on her mind to go and ask him, for details about his addiction. And I'm going to go through what they discussed first. So, yeah, she asked him, how did it start? He said, well, it's not cut and dry. Okay? Drugs everywhere in the music industry. All the cool cats I knew was on something. So, that indicates to us that he got on through the music industry. I don't totally believe that, but okay. He explains that a cigarette became a joint, joint became a straw, straw became a needle, tisk. So he says that started with a bandmate, then a promoter, then a manager, and all this and that. So yeah, just getting lost in the sauce of a whole lot of different shit. And don't get me wrong, I believe those aspects of it, cause that is some real shit. But at the same time, I don't think he said it's not cut and dry, of course, but I don't think his addiction truly started once he like got older and started doing music. I feel like it started before. I feel like it really started in his childhood somehow. Like, I don't know, I get that feeling and that indication, like, off of how his character is and things of that nature. I feel like that should start in his childhood, especially like the way he moved. But anyway, so Jax is taking this in and she pinpoints him using the term agents. And he's like, yeah, enablers are more, and I'm finna clock the fuck out of this statement. He said enablers are more interested in having you broken than having you whole. Because Jack's mama is an enabler. And so this also, because I've been clocking her as an enabler, and then him saying that and me clocking it in this moment, that shit hit way different. Like, it goes back to something I noticed about a certain brand of people pleasers that are narcissists, that they are people pleasers for the sake of keeping you on a string, keeping you indebted to them, and or it's just fueling their ego one way or another to your detriment. They're just fueling your detriment to fuel their ego, and or allowing your destruction and self-destruction for the sake of their ego. And some people feel power from constantly convincing people that they are a victim, even though they keep running face first into that environment. so that they can be projected as what they want to be. But I'm gonna stick a pin in that. And actually, I'm not, because I would infer that Jax's mama has been abused. And so in that's the explanation, not the excuse. That's, what allows us to empathize with her. But where the sympathy cuts off is when you then enable an environment, enable dynamics, and you yourself are abusive to your daughter. You've been made aware in a multitude of different forms. And you continue. Yeah. So again, I say there's a brand. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Just pinpointing, even in the moment, different places where lines in the sand can and need to be drawn. Because not every person who gets abused or has been abused becomes an abuser. However, when it comes to people who have been abused that are also abusers, and they are weaponizing their trauma so that they can be abusers in peace, yeah, no, cut that shit out. Because that's exactly what I see with Jax's mama as well as her daddy. And child, like, I was just watching another girl. She was doing a video on Encanto. I think her name is Your Girl Tunes. But she's a black girl who does reviews and like video essays on animated shows and such, and movies, of course. And she was talking about the unintentional control issues of Abuela from Encanto and the pitfalls of it. And, emphasizing and showing how even though it was mindless, for the most part for her, she wasn't meaning to harm, but she was, And so, again, very important to call a thing and be able and willing to call a thing and stand for what's right, even in the face of someone that you have empathy for. You need to be able to discern when to cut the sympathy off so you can hold them accountable. Now, we'll stick a pin in that. And we proceed to give you R&B mother, because what you need and what you need is the rest of Eddie talking about, every time he took a hit, he knew he was a failure to his kids and his all of this and that. And please understand that if you've ever dealt with addiction, or people that have dealt with addiction, please do not wrap their identities up in Paul. Or even, my opinions and observation of Paul, please. Because, don't get me wrong, I peep game, okay? And that's why I peep. Paul is a punk son of a bitch. Paul ain't shit, and I ain't buying a bitch-ass motherfucking thing that he's selling. He is laying it on thick, okay? And I believe that he knows that he's a failure. And every time, he was on that bullshit that he was a failure, not just because, he had an addiction. It's not necessarily the addiction. It's all of the other shit. Because like I said, we know people who've been abused. We know people who are addicts and all of that shit. And they are credible. Okay? Well, then you come out. Okay? Right? And I smell bullshit. He ain't one. This is a demon we dealing with. This ain't just a wounded soul. This is a corrupted soul. Child tisk. And so, Jackson, her daddy, having embraced and all of this and that and the third. She is now empathizing and sympathizing with him in this moment. They're having a heartfelt situation, and we see Lewis outside staking out. He is watching all of the things, okay, and look like he is applicating the tracker that Daniel put him on to. In the meantime, in between time of this, he notices what he notices and tries not to be noticeable. He notices Jax is there and leaving, so he know he got to hurry up and ski daddle. But this also lets him know that it's some deep shit afoot. Next, Alex done popped up on Beige Rage. And he like, dude, Beige Rage that is, talking to Alex. We've been trying to get in touch with you for days. What in fuck's name are you doing? He like, look, I came here to talk Ozzy, but I'm gonna need me some legal protection. No. All right. So we jump from there and we back over here with Crystal. That's Jack's assistant, okay? Finally got a name right. We over here with Crystal and Daniel. And she is picking up on his anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Is his anxiety? Oh. Anywho, so she picking up, some little girl got your nose wide open. What's going on? And he like, huh? What are you talking about? No, it's just a friend. So Crystal, she like, you straight people. Crystal is a lesbian? I ain't even know. But, so, all of this is low-key, high-key to say that Daniel is out here showing all of his cards to people. He ain't got no type of poker face. Okay, it's very obvious that somebody got him smitten and somebody got him off kilter. Just a little taste. It's like he fueled and also it's off kilter. Just a little taste. And Crystal is trying to figure out, like, do you need some help? Do you need some da-da-da? He like, nah, baby. He gets to whispering in her ear, I guess letting her know what he know. And she like, oh. That's gonna be the sound, girl, when it's going down. Now she questioning things. Now she questioning, I guess, her sexuality. Honey. But now they back in court and Cash Doll is on the stand. So she got to talk about her relationship with Wendy, and she worked with her for about 2 years, and how she witnessed a lot of her and Ozzy's relationship and how it was a lot of hot and cold. Some days it could be a loving boyfriend. Other days he walk in the room like she don't exist. Other ways he treated her like he ain't get no fuck, breaking her heart, stepping all on that shit. Like, damn. So she was like, this how she knew something was off, because no matter what, even through everything that she would go through with him, she would always show up to work. She didn't miss not nail type of day. That's not like Wendy Williams, how they describe Wendy Williams. But anyway, she's like, she ain't miss no work. So when she was missing work and meetings and all types of shit, she knew something was off. Okay? And she had to alert the masses. And that she did. Now, Jackson got to step up and incriminate her. And it's like, well, basically trying to point the direction of, seem like you may feel like you can capitalize off of this because you sending messages talking about you the captain now and you taking over and you running this show. And she like, what you mean by that? What did it supposed to mean? And she said, I'm saying I gotta assume the position to her clients and run the operations. That's all. That's it. And so they didn't ask how many days after the disappearance did you send that? And she was like 3. So Jason's like, oh, 3. Okay, nothing further. What is that supposed to mean? Because I feel like 3 days can indicate respect. As opposed to she did it the day of or the next day. Like, most certainly if she had done it just the next day. Let's go. Now, back over to Lewis. He is stalking Eddie. And we see some guys meeting up with him. Okay, we won't get too much information, but we know that there's some sneaking and deaking going on of some sort. Now, speaking of sneaking and deaking, we pop back up with Jax popping up on Monica Talking about for her to tell the truth. Tell the truth and shame the devil that you more than just an agent. And she like, yeah, I'm more than just an agent, because that's what agent, that's what an agent job means. And she like, nah. What the job you assume when he was 13, 14, 15. And she like, look, you don't know everything that I gave up to protect this amazing boy. Girl, that did not require you to give up your coochie to him, let alone like, huh? Oh, absolutely not. She talking about insidious people like Wendy she needed to protect him from. Honey, it's you. The call is coming from inside the house. It's you. Why? Unfortunate. Oh my goodness. So Jax is getting on her ass and it's like, baby, I'm setting you up, honey, to be exposed for the nasty, McNasty, Pedialyte Bear PDF file that you are. Your little Rancharama shindig. And Monica is trying to take a stand of righteousness and shit. Like she just, is doing God's work through being a PDF file. Girl, bye. Bye. But she do clock Jax on some shit. Like, the only reason you in this is for more money, more respect, more validation. You ain't no different. Because when we called you on some civil shit, you weren't really into it. But soon as it got like this here, oh, now you already and willing and you pumping your chest and putting your dick on the table like you just is somebody. But you ain't bad. You ain't nothing. And so they storm off from each other and honey. So now we know that it is a mission to get Monica on the stand. And this is another spot where I kind of have to acknowledge like the blurring of the lines and a cognitive dissonance in a way that Jax is kind of caught up in, where I was like, I don't think she got the wherewithal to turn it on and turn it off right now. Because, yeah, you doing your job, you on a mission, you want to collect the people to, deflect all the attention away from Ozzy that it could potentially be somebody else other than Ozzy that it doesn't set him up to take the fall, or it's just letting him take the fall, whatever, what have you. House of Never, the way you going about this is very much so like an enabler, an enabling mother who gets called to the school about their child acting a fool, and your child be problematic at the house. They be throwing temper tantrums and you can barely control them yourself. And I don't want to use the word control, but you can barely handle them yourself. And then they get over there to the school and you like, ain't nobody talk about my baby. Well, what about little Jimmy over there? Little Jimmy is doing this and little Jimmy is doing that, and Amanda is climbing up the wall, and you just say, oh, well, honey, we got to stay on topic, because you are his mother. So but Jax, you not his mother, you his lawyer, and you is doing a bit much. You are doing a bit much, and you are giving away your positions. As a lawyer, you should know good and well not to confront no liar straight up like that. Not to confront no monster of the sort straight up like that. You just gave away your position. Tisk. Now we pick back up with Daniel and Lewis. They back out to the diner and they are discussing what Jax has found. Lewis has found, and he feels like Eddie has relapsed. And he don't know how to tell Jax, when to tell Jax, or what. And he wants to find out more information, but dude don't have no social media presence like talking about, of course, so he wants to officially hire Daniel on the job to go and scrounge up information. And Daniel, honey, I would expect Daniel to have a little bit more resistance considering the dynamics of everything, but he just like, look, the price gonna have to be right. You know what I'm saying? And I respect it. I just feel like this is another indication of him being overly, not only emotionally involved, but also fleshfully involved, goddamn. And his antennas are not firing on all cylinders. Now, the next scene, for whatever reason, Chanel feels it important to go over to Sally's husband's house to tell him, you need to stop playing games with her. You need to stop just fucking her and leaving her and all of this and that, and let her know what you gonna do and all of this. Look, I get it's a complex, a complicated situation, and you know, all these kids involved and all of this and that and the third, but also Sally is the one that fucked up here. She fucked up majorly. She squandered a fucking heirloom that could have been conducive to generational wealth, generational shelter, all of that shit. He was the first homeowner in his family. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? He got every right and reason to take his time and get, you know, whatever it is that he can get, you know, through the situation. Like, Sally just needs to be patient and either, you know, she set her boundaries, take her pussy out the table or whatever if she wants to. But don't nobody have no fucking right or reason to be going over to this man trying to rush his healing process and tell him what he need to do. What the fuck? Ciao, bye. And I get Chanel can feel guilty, you know, because she may feel like it's partially her fault and she's a major part of the reason why all of that shit, you know, happened. But no, no, no. Go sit down. Hey, go sit down. Hey. Back over to Beige Rage and the other lawyer dude. And Beige Rage is not Bill, y'all. The other guy that works there, the other light-skinned guy, I guess he Italian or something. He's some type of exotic white or something. But Beige Rage and this exotic white man are having a conversation. Beige Rage is trying to pump him for information. Because he's trying to figure out, you know, some better tactics and such on how to basically conquer her in court. He wants to know Jax's weaknesses and such. So exotic white man says Jack's weaknesses is that she believes in people. So Beige Rage says, damn, that's how you feel? You jaded like that about life? And so exotic white man is like, yeah, fuck it. It's facts. Because Jax gets in here and she starts seeing the clients as people. And the minute you start seeing the clients as people, as opposed to clients, you're too emotionally invested. Therefore, can end up blinding you to what the fuck is actually going on. And that's exactly what I've been saying. Because I feel like Jax's weakness is also her strength. But her lack of self-awareness and the way that she ends up is because she's so fucking male identified. And she is so conditioned from her trauma and by her mama that she gets lost in the sauce of fucking halo affecting every crooked ass man that she comes across. Specifically crooked ass black men. Sorry, not sorry. It has to be said. And like I said, emotions are linked to intuition and our sense of discernment and all of that. But when it's excessive, it overwhelms, therefore drowns out, warps the perspective. But exotic white man emphasizes that when she gets like this, she starts to focus on proving their innocence versus refuting their guilt. And in the midst of him saying this, and he's looking over the documents that Beige Rage handed him, he like, oh shit, this ain't just a witness statement. This is a key witness statement. So I'm assuming that this key witness statement is from Alex. It's what Alex came and dropped on him. But in this, we get jumped over into Bill and Jax also seemingly looking at that same information. So Bill is like, so the judge approved their augmented witness list. And she said, yeah, new witness came in, dropped that information earlier. So that's what it's giving. It's giving Alex came in, dropped some information on him. So Bill is like, well, that's good because this confirms his alibi. Jack say, keep reading. Soon as she say that, we jump back to, I believe this is her house. Because no lie, like it seemed like their homes also look similar. And sometimes I can't tell Ozzy's house from Jax's house. Only in certain rooms where there are like definitive differences. But yeah, so Jax is now snapping on him because she was like, I knew you were not alone that night and you just didn't want to tell me. And Ozzy is like, that's because he went MIA. And Jax say, well, why is that? He said, I don't know. He said he needed to protect himself. Bill said, is it because you killed Wendy? He said, no, look, I swear to God, I did not kill Wendy. I argued with her and then I called him to get some candy. We got high together and I passed out. Jax said, you passed out or you don't remember? He said, I passed out. She said, well, guess what? He's about to testify as the key witness for the prosecution. And he's not saying that you passed out. He's saying that after the two of you got high, he drove you to the cabin and you went in there, argued with her, and she turned up stinking. So then, we hop on over to court where he is up there on the stand, seemingly getting prepared to say exactly that. He said he was his co-star on My Cousin and Them. All right? He said he done known him since he was 13 years old, and their relationship has had its ups and downs. But he spent a lot of time with him at his house. His parents would help him out from time to time. He said his parents weren't shit. He mean not great. But yeah, he basically said him and Ozzy was real cool at first until like eventually the more famous he got more famous friends and started to seemingly push him to the side and seemingly kind of forget about him until he need him for candy. And so they get to asking him about that night, and Ozzy called him over to the house. He said, yeah, he went on over there. Said they was linked up after they got high. He dropped all his plane, you know what I'm saying? They took a road trip, drove him on out there. And Beige Rage is exhibiting evidence and such as a toll receipt. And Alex says from when he drove him up there, all right, said when he drove him up there, he stayed in the car and Ozzy went in. And he heard some commotion. He got out to see what was going on. He looked inside the cabin windows. He saw Ozzy yelling, and she was crying. Wendy was. And he went back to the car because he didn't want no parts of that. And then that's when he heard gunshots. Honey. And he said he just got on down, honey. Got the fuck out of Dodge. He ain't grabbed no shoes or nothing, Jesus. He ran for his life. They asked him, was it anybody else that was there at the cabin? And he says, no. Now, when he says this, Ozzy starts writing on a piece of paper that he's fucking lying. Okay? Now, we can infer that Ozzy is talking about everything that he's saying, but I honestly don't feel like Ozzy is talking about everything that he's saying. I feel like Ozzy wants Jax to interpret it that way, but I don't think that's what Ozzy is talking about. I think Ozzy is saying he's lying about there being no one else there besides him, Wendy, and Alex. I believe someone else was there. I believe Monica was also there. But we'll just stick a pin in that. But they asked him why didn't he go to the police, and he said that he was scared. Ozzy looks innocent, but he can be a whole nother story and you don't want to get on his bad side. And so they asked him why he coming forth now. He said it's the right thing to do. He made some mistakes in the past, but to make up for it, he want to make the deal to come and testify truthfully on this day. Now, it's Jack's turn to get up and take her attempt at rag tagging on him. And so she asks, does he have a photo or anything to indicate the defendant being there with him besides the receipt? Like, is his name on the receipt? Anything at all to indicate, beyond a shadow of a doubt, proof of him being with you when you went out there. And so they also are bringing up, him being a drug dealer and how he had to, basically make some sort of deal to get immunity and all of that for the sake of that. And so Jax also puts down his record, aka his rap sheet, with all the charges for him selling narcotica. And so she wants to emphasize him being Ozzy's drug dealer and bringing up, that he sold him drugs that night, gave him drugs, all of that. And he like, well, I mean, he do drugs, so what? But so yeah, confirmation that he did drugs, they did drugs, and he was like, he was in and out all night. And so Jackson's like, oh, okay, so he was in and out of consciousness. So how does that imply that he was cognizant to be able to commit a murder? And so he basically says, look, we've been, I done seen him on drugs type shit since we was young, very much so functioning addict. I've seen him do the goddamn most in and out on hella motherfucking drugs. And I have seen people like that also. So no, that literally is a thing. Tisk. So Jax is still just basically trying to drill it in about him being a drug dealer, trying to just ruin his credibility, which I don't really think it ruins his credibility, because he didn't get up there trying to posture himself as not a drug dealer. I mean, he didn't lead with it, but it was already pretty much up front. But her and Ozzy are feeling booked up by, the play that they just made in court. And Beige Rage does not like this display. And he gets on into his office and proves my point as to why I'm calling him Beige Rage. I hadn't even seen him act up yet. And child, I feel even more unapologetic about having called him Beige Rage already. So yeah. He go to throwing shit and fucking up his office. Pissed off. That can't be good. Back over to Sally and her husband. They just finished up a sesh. And she's getting up to leave. He like, wait a minute, you leaving? She like, yeah. So he then tells her that he want for her to come with him and the kids and I guess his family for Thanksgiving. And she like, oh, what made you change your mind? And he was like, well, I think it's important for the kids. My mom been racing about a lot of shit. And honestly, feel like the kids really need it and they shouldn't have to suffer because of everything that we got going on. And this would be, some indication of stability. So Sally seems perturbed by this, and she's like, do you still want us to be husband and wife? And he says, I want us to be there for the kids, and we figure this out. I feel like that was great. Sally proceeds to leave, and he like, do you want to figure this out? She pulls out divorce papers. I feel like she's stupid. And honestly, good fucking riddance. Good riddance. Because, yeah, he like, are you fucking serious? And she's talking about, finally, I can say that I am. My lawyer will be in touch. Bitch, see, no. And I know a lot of people would love to just be on Sally's side with this just because she's a woman. Like, it would be very easy to be like, yeah, girl, stand your ground. You tell that man not to just use your body and this and that and da-da-da-da. When in actuality, he's trying to figure it out. Of course, he's not going to turn down no pussy. But also, he said, we can do this here and we still figuring it out, which makes sense to me. You squandered an heirloom fucklessly after he told you multiple times not to. That shit is major. Like, what the fuck? Like, it'd be interesting to me how people act over cheating. And don't get me wrong, that is also traumatizing. All the while, her squandering a fucking heirloom like that is also on the same level, if not worse. And then for her to have this attitude and not being able to just sit in the accountability, just sit in the mud of the mess that you made. You don't have to keep giving him your vagina, but you also don't have to serve him court papers either, because he's taking his time getting over what the fuck is going on. And he still even has the humility. He's not disrespecting you. He's not going in on you. He didn't hit you with divorce papers and try to take you for every motherfucking thing that you got. He's still showing humility and love and grace and mercy for you. And you hit him with divorce papers because you can't get what the fuck you want? You just proving the point. Child. Tisk. I swear. And this again is one why I don't trust Sally and I don't like Sally. Now, we get back over to Daniel and Kristen. And they finna play some games. And she talking about they need an extra player. He gonna say we could call Alex. AKA fuck no. AKA Ozzy's drug dealer. AKA yo ex. And she like, look, I didn't lie. I told you he was an annoying friend, a hangers-on, and all this, that, and the third. But also, bitch, you did lie. Because this also takes us back to how Ozzy got the drugs that he OD'd on a couple of episodes ago. So, yeah, it was some lies up in there because you won't convince me that you didn't get them drugs from Alex. Okay. So, she started talking about, Alex started bugging them and, keeping up with them like a mug. Acting like they owed him something after my cousins and them. And so she was like, he would treat Ozzy bad and getting him high and not caring if he was awake. And, basically saying that he would be entertained by Ozzy being fucked up and shit. This can kind of take us back to the nature of what Jax's daddy was describing when he said enablers want you most, or in so many words, his own words that he said, but he was like, enablers value you most or want you most when you're broken. That's what they're getting their power from and their validation from and such. So like, yeah. So she don't want to talk about Alex no more. She want to seduce him now. And so Austin, girl, I do this often, starts to play. I feel like that's an indication that she is a goddamn snake. And not a healing one. She is a motherfucking venomous serpent. A Delilah spirit. And what she do often is entrap men in her web of chaos and destruction. And I am afraid for our boy Daniel. But our boy Daniel is getting a sex scene. And I love that for him. And we getting to see his skinny man, slim fit abs. And him and Kristen get down with the get down. I fuck with the scene. I think it's pretty hot. It's pretty like nerdy hot. It's like if Velma and Shaggy had a sex scene kind of. But in the midst, Jax is calling his phone. Told you before that it's over. Leave me alone. Calling his phone and she didn't get no answer. But she get the voicemail and she leave him one talking about, look, I need you to call me back. I need you to look into Monica's alibi because I'm thinking she killed Wendy. Now, I could see why she would think that, but I don't think she killed Wendy. I think she got something to do with covering it up. I think she facilitated it and all of that. It might be like a Sweet Pea and Baby Boy situation. Sweet Pea and Jody situation. But in the final scene, this might be confirming my assumptions. In the final scene, Ozzy is calling Monica and asking her where the fuck she at, where the fuck she been, what the fuck she doing. And she like, what I'm always doing, protecting you. And she throwing some bloody clothes, look like some bloody clothes of his in a fire. And she's somewhere ducked out somewhere, throwing some bloody clothes of his in the fire. Child. But with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. and I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these Queen Quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.